just like Dylan also, sometimes great actors, Odenkirk, it's like they need them. I mean, Bob Odenkirk came on Entourage. My kids went to school with Bob. Yeah. I think the guy is a fucking genius. And he like either called me or we saw each other and he's like, I just want to come on. I'm like, I want to write something really big and good for you. He's like, whatever, just give me anything. And I have Bob Odenkirk on our show doing almost fucking nothing.
And at one point, you hate when I mention this, but at one point, Bob Odenkirk and I are looking at Mark Cuban, who has this massive monologue. And you came in and like, you know, I was just holding it together. I'm like, you know, and you're like, he's doing great. And I'm like, listen, he's the best businessman of all time. But you've got the two of us looking at him while he's got the soliloquy.
You know what? And I hear you. And I remember being on the set going, forgetting you, because obviously I always want to get as much of you as I can. But I'm like, I'm fucking wasting Bob Odenkirk right now. How do we figure it out? But I didn't solve it. But my point is
somehow it all worked like magic.
Yeah, but my point is like for actors out there, Bob Odenkirk, Jeremy Piven, Kevin Dillon were just as good 10 years earlier that they were then. But when they got in it's not even the writing. When they got in the right spot at the right moment and the world got to see what they could do, all of a sudden it all just pops. And I think that's the thing that...
No, it is the writing. It is, you created a character. Like, for instance, and I told you when we were going to do the movie, I said, it would be great to have a therapy scene in there. People really miss it. Because that's what people would say to me. And if there's a therapy scene, and there wasn't initially one in the movie, and those therapy scenes were so real, and they were, you know, you say written like a play, it was all on the page, and it was perfect. And that had to, because I do feel like in certain ways you kind of are Ari.
I mean, again, I'm, I was obviously married the whole run of the show, and those were therapy scenes. You know, Mrs. Gold was Melissa. My son was your son. You know,
it was so real.
Now, I wasn't a guy who talked like that in the work environment, and I wasn't a guy who, I'm not really an extrovert. I don't really leave my house. I was out to dinner with Mike Tyson last night. I told him, I don't really go out. I'm going out because you know, you're here. But I think things that people wouldn't say, probably. You know what I mean? Like, so, which is fine, and I have no problem with that. But, but when you can find the person who can deliver it better, and I think, as you know, we started out with a character that I didn't know what this character was. I knew he's going to be fast talking. In the first scene you're talking about cheating on your wife, which if we went that direction, you know, he's just a clown. And we really got into it more and more. And you, I remember,
But to be honest with you, when you wrote that, I played it as if he's a guy that takes these victory laps.
Right.
But he's all bark and no bite.
Yeah.
He's monogamous. The wife wears the pants. And, you know, ask me who I'm fucking. Who am I fucking? You know what I mean? That whole thing. But I think it's much more interesting to have this guy that plays that character, but the reality is there's that duality where the wife just crushes him at home, and that's really fun to watch. So I misread that, because I know you switched it. I played it as if he was talking shit.
I didn't know then. I really didn't know then. I had no idea. And you know, I mean, one of the things happened with HBO. HBO, I mean, it's like, we look back at it, like HBO doesn't want you on the poster or a specific person. And I remember are you watching like what I'm watching? What are you talking about? You know, and I remember the words exactly were, Jeremy Piven will never be a member of the Entourage. This is an executive at HBO.
Wow. I never heard that.
But it's so,
That's amazing.
There's these,
I love it.
But there's these gates in front of actors, writers, and directors. Yeah. And one change of something can affect the entire, somebody at HBO could have said, you know what? I don't get Jeremy. And then all of a sudden, it's not there. And really where I wanted to go with this, you say, okay, that's the basic stuff of acting. The intangibles that you have, which whether they're learned, innate, I have no fucking idea. But I've seen, 20 characters, and I'm not going to name them, that have absolutely ripped off Ari, both in the writing and both in the attempt at performance. And one of the, in my mind...
You can't say them, ballers. Keep going.
One of the most